Jay Prince Jr. already know. When it comes down to that Rico indictment, it's a lot of people who gonna tuck their tail and who ain't gonna really be the big head honcho then once the Rico indictment come out. From what they saying is, Little Cam, he only had to move on. He came there with it. He got locked up because he was on house arrest and he got caught leaving the bowling alley with the blicky. I want y'all to look at one thing, man. If y'all pay attention to RP Takeoff, man, before anything, Quavo, you should have spoke up at the beginning. Takeoff knew for a fact that it was some fishy going on. He knew that it was some real suspicious going on. And when you really pay attention to it, everybody's sitting back looking like, why did Charleston White just come out and say what really happened? Charleston White, he explained the whole situation. How did he know what went on there if he wasn't there? And Mike Prince was walking towards Takeoff when all this was going on, while everybody was looking at that camera, looking at dude recording. Sad to say, Jay Prince Jr. just should have had his security on point. Ain't no way that they was the only ones with the blickies, but everybody else didn't have one on them. Everybody clearly saw in the video they had to move on. That was Jay Prince Shooter. That was Jay Prince Shooter who got locked up. Like, everybody don't really look at what's really going on, man. Dude got arrested, man. He didn't even do nothing. He wasn't even there. He could have got up out that jam if he would have hopped out that Hellcat quick enough. That black Hellcat that they saw leaving that scene when Duke the Jeweler got sent up. And it's coming out now. HPD just released everything. I want y'all to look at one thing. Everybody that's with Jay Prince Jr., Mike Prince, and everybody who around that they claim that they got this little headquarters or whatever, man, hey, they just sent them people in there, boy. And at the end of the day, we know for a fact that Takeoff was the main objective in the whole bowling alley. Hey, I know everybody think that Quavo did this and did that. Quavo, real live, he getting get back right now. Like, real talk, y'all. At the end of the day, people sitting back looking at this and taking things for granted, man. You can't take life for granted, man. You have to keep people from around you who is toxic, man. Because people that's toxic, they gonna always be toxic while you keep moving up the ladder, man. My condolences to Jay Prince Jr. nephew, man.
Just shot up last night, man. Leaving a bar or club in Southeast Houston, Texas. Now, a lot of people feel that Jay Prince Jr. cousin getting shot up is connected to what happened with Takeoff or Duke the Jeweler, because the MobTies affiliates, they got their hands tied up in a lot of situations right now. I don't know if what happened with Jay Prince Jr. cousin G-Way is connected to Duke the Jeweler or Takeoff untimely demise. But at the same time, we knew it was gonna come to this, because we have those that's affiliated to Takeoff and Duke the Jeweler. They want justice. And again, you have people that's associated to these cats, and they gonna take up justice by any means necessary. Meaning that they could go through the whole court process, or they could handle it themselves. And that's the route that we don't want to go. Again, I told you guys before, man, we don't want a lot of back and forth going on between these two camps. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we do understand that the families of Duke the Jeweler and Takeoff, they do want justice. Now again, going back to this video with Jay Prince Jr. cousin G-Way getting shot up in Southeast Houston, Texas. That's a situation that Jay Prince Jr., he gonna have to look into. Just like Duke the Jeweler and Takeoff family, they gotta look into what happened. Jay Prince Jr. brother Jazz steady popping up, trying to see how he can assist and helping out Quavo. Come on, man. Because again, them people know, they feel like they did something wrong. They know they should have had Takeoff back. Similar to Duke the Jeweler family. Again, they still trying to get that jewelry back, man. But yeah, Jay Prince Jr. cousin G-Way, he was one of the guys that was always around Lil Cam Fifth. Matter of fact, they're around the same age. You feel me? I believe that Jay Prince Jr. cousin G-Way is just a couple years older. But at the same time, he was blicky down and sent up, man. It's just a sad situation because we have people that's constantly losing family based on some nonsense, man. A lot of back and forth that shouldn't be going on. All because the MobTies is telling people to check in. Duke the Jeweler checked in, what happened to him? Takeoff checked in, what happened to him? You feel me? Well, at the same time, while Jay Prince Jr. is moving like he can't be touched, well, it seems like the guys that's around you, they getting touched up, man.
Yeah, folks, that's crazy.
just got word that J Prince Jr. cousin G-Way was blicky down and sent up Saturday night. They saying leaving a bar or club, something like that, man. But again, it's crazy. But the folks out there in H-Town, they speaking on the fact that, hey man, this is coming back around to J Prince Jr. and his MobTies affiliates. For all that checking in and not standing on that. So what happened with Duke the Jeweler and Takeoff, hey man, again, so you have people out there that's saying it may be somebody that's affiliated to one of those guys, but hey, who knows, man? But right now, a lot of folks ain't speaking on it because J Prince Jr., he don't want to let it be known that he just took a loss. You feel me? Because y'all gotta understand, he's always promoting and make it seem like he's just catching wins, when we all know that's not reality. Especially if you putting yourself out there as a certain organization. You feel what I'm saying? You have some guys out there in H-Town that was speaking on the fact that it's a lot of people that don't respect the MobTies affiliates. J Prince Jr. and his brother Jazz, they cool until a certain extent, until they start moving like they the biggest people in the building. Then you have some women saying that J Prince Jr., he don't know how to approach them. He seemed like because his pops is making moves and because he a junior, they automatically gonna give him the cookies. But that seemed to not be the case. Like real talk, I believe some folks from H-Town just want J Prince Jr. MobTies to either display some type of real order or sit down somewhere, man. Because what y'all putting out there, they not respecting it. And that's people that's from your own hometown, man. So if they telling y'all need to calm down, that a lot of activity that y'all put yourselves into is uncalled for, man. The Takeoff situation, uncalled for. Because if there was a back and forth between J Prince Jr. and Quavo, how to get to the extent that somebody up a blicky and send up Takeoff? Come on, man. Again, same thing happened with Duke the Jeweler. Now, it's somebody out there in H-Town that knows that J Prince Jr. MobTies has folks' jewelry. And trust me, the GDs, they still checking on that. And what I mean by that is Duke's family and his business associates. You feel me? So the folks are saying with J Prince Jr. cousin being blicky down and sent up, it may be someone in H-Town who could be connected to Takeoff or Duke the Jeweler. But you never know. And that's the part that a lot of people is seeing. Because again, even though J Prince Jr. and his MobTies guys is moving a certain way, you still have those out there that don't respect it. And it's gonna show. So again, when folks are stating that, hey, you can't have a whole check-in unit, have a whole check-in policy if the guys in his camp don't respect him. So how they gonna respect the guys that he's supposed to be protecting, man, when they check in with him? So they could either be robbed or set up based on the fact that it's the guys in your camp that don't respect what you're doing. Even though people seen Lil Cam Fifth up the blicky, and he's somebody that's affiliated to the MobTies, who is allegedly J Prince Jr. shooter, but now they saying it's DJ Pat, another person that's tied in with the MobTies affiliates. Come on, man. So again, the folks is speaking on the fact that, hey man, y'all need to have more order over there. And there's some folks who believe that Patrick Clark, aka DJ Pat, that he's just a fall guy, man. That's real. They saying that it could allegedly be Lil Cam Fifth who up the blicky, but at the same time, they ain't want to put it on him because he young and his rap sheet is crazy. And they feel that Lil Cam Fifth, he knows too much. So they saying this is where DJ Pat comes in, because he was dropped off that bag to go ahead and take the rap. Yeah, they believe Lil Cam Fifth, the only reason why he said DJ Pat name, because he was told to. That was part of his deal from J Prince. A lot of things about to get exposed pertaining to J Prince Jr. and his MobTies affiliates. And all that's gonna do is trickle down from J Prince Jr. and his brother Jazz to they pops, J Prince. So y'all don't think that J Prince is out there trying to make all the necessary moves to make sure that nothing comes his son's way? I mean, y'all gotta understand, folks do have a lot to lose. The folks already spoke on the fact that ain't no more checking in, man. Especially not with those guys. Now you got guys like Sauce Walker and some other cats out of H-Town who feel like, hey man, y'all can mess with us. So yeah, that's why folks are saying with J Prince Jr. cousin G-Way getting blicky down and sent up, it may be because what happened with Takeoff and Duke the Jeweler, man. So all them cover-up stories that J Prince was putting out there to try to make it seem like his sons had nothing to do with Duke the Jeweler or Takeoff untimely demise, when it's the MobTies affiliates that's doing all this, man. Right now they saying Lil Cam Fifth want the shooter pertaining to what happened with Takeoff. So they saying it's somebody else that's associated to the MobTies. Come on, man. So going back to the pops, J Prince, when he making statements like, don't come hiding behind me, well, that's what they doing. And you got to cover up story for the guys that's hiding behind you, man. Because if that wasn't the case, again, why did it take so long for them to finally get in contact with Patrick Clark, only because Lil Cam Fifth had to cough him up. Because Lil Cam Fifth he feel like, nah man, I ain't the one that upped the blicky. The only reason why I pulled out my blicky, because I seen what was going on between Patrick Clark and Migo bands. So I was told to protect J Prince Jr., and that's what I was doing. And with me doing that, I ain't up the blicky on nobody. That's the whole reason why we're seeing DJ Pat, aka Patrick Clark. He's stepping up. I told y'all, man, this was gonna happen. We told you guys that once they started getting guys in that room, people was gonna start talking. But again, this whole video is based on some back and forth activity that J Prince Jr. cousin G-Way, he got blicky down and sent up, man. As always, before we get into it, let's first pay our respects and say rest in peace to Takeoff, condolences to his family, and much love to all my folks in the ATL. Quavo, Offset, Migo, y'all stay up out there, my brothers. Same thing goes for Chicago's own Duke the Jeweler. Rest in peace to Duke the Jeweler, condolences to his family, and much love to all my folks in Chicago. See the GDs, the guys that Duke the Jeweler is connected to, they still looking for Duke's jewelry, man. Because Duke family know that the jewelry was not brought back to the jewelry store, man. The jewelry store they own out there in Chicago. So yeah, you have a lot of people right now who is upset with J Prince and his son's MobTies affiliates. Because what happened to a black jeweler and a very inspirational rap artist who happened to be Takeoff? Come on, man, we want answers. The family want answers, and the fans of Takeoff, they want answers as well.
I mean, he really making moves out there in H-Town, J Prince, but not to the point where people feel that he's the guy in H-Town that's really putting it down. Because the folks out there be telling me that, hey man, it's so many different sides that it'll be hard for one man to control all these different sides and think that everybody at the same time is gonna respect him. The folks feel like he don't have a mafia, mob, or army to make moves like that. You know what I'm saying? The people feel that's the perspective that J Prince and his sons be speaking from. You only get a certain amount of respect pertaining to what side you came from.
This is the eyewitness saying this.
Cam around the 5th Ward and had him, like they had him point out who Big Pat is. And that's how they got the guy Pat, man. He's the one that actually did it, is what they're saying, allegedly. And so that's what they got him for. They got both of them, and they still looking for a third person. And who knows, they're gonna ask questions with the guys that argue too, because they're gonna wanna know what the argument was fully about, exactly what was said, because they have to put that into consideration as part of the argument, like the whole verbal dispute back and forth. So now for Lil Cam, for him to get less time, he had to tell. So he told on his buddy Big Pat. Now when they rode Lil Cam around 5th Ward and they saw Big Pat and he rolled the window down and pointed at him, Big Pat was walking down the sidewalk. He had just left the corner store. He had his bag of like $10 worth of chips and like a couple things here and there, right? Some whatever, right? So they were like, the last thing he saw was the window rolled down in his truck and the SUV, and Lil Cam sticks his finger out the window and he says, "That's him, get him." And that's when the feds swept in. They came down, helicopters came out of the sewer drains and literally like basically got Big Pat under control, and they took him in and they started asking him heavy questions like, why did you go with Lil Cam that day? How much did they pay you? Why did you do it? Did somebody hand you the blick or this and that? So now they got like what's considered to be the guy that did it, and so they're like really, you know, getting everybody. They must have threw the book at them to get them to tell on each other, because that's the only way they were gonna do it. Otherwise, these dudes knew that there was the way they were going in life, it was gonna end up like this anyways, where they're gonna have to do like lots of years, right? So at the end of the day, they told so that they could get whatever, maybe even they had some reward money to give out for them to tell them. And so, but at the end of the day, they got them to break. And when they got them to break, they got a second person and a third person, the getaway driver, the getaway car. There's so many people that they only had one guy really. And then now the thing is that they're gonna probably try to go and have Big Pat and Lil Cam, they're gonna try to have them tell on Migo bands and say that Migo bands was trying to get him. And so the whole thing never ends. And so now it's like, now Migo bands has to go, and if he probably don't want to talk, but he's gonna have to figure out, okay, what are they saying about him? What do they got on him? Because they're gonna throw him in the mix. The people said in Houston that they was trying to get everybody for it, and now you got MobTies looking like they're sweating right now. They're like, okay, what does Lil Cam and Big Pat know? Because if they get Big Pat to say anything on MobTies, that's going to be a bad look for him. It's already a bad look for Houston, but what they're going to do is basically they have to be hiding right now. They're probably vacationing somewhere far away so that they don't have to, think about it too much. But at the end of the day, though, they sitting back watching, and they like, man, that Pat dude and that Lil Cam dude, they better not say anything, because even if they say like they went to their party or whatever, that they're gonna want to talk to them. And who's to say they didn't already talk to Junior? They didn't already talk to Jazz and them, because they're the ones who threw the party. And the QC, the dudes who own QC or whatever, who work at QC, they're saying that Junior and Jazz gotta answer to this. They have to say something. They gonna have to basically has some type of response to where people are looking at him like, why did you guys throw this party? It makes you guys look like y'all set it up. And so that's what a lot of people are looking at them, not just Houston, but coming out of Atlanta. And they looking at MobTies, and they saying, man, why did y'all people have beef with Quavo and Migos to begin with? Why did y'all have them check in just to argue with them anyways at the end of it? Why are you involving them and this and that? And like, there was a certain point to where it's like, okay, y'all knew what was going down in the direction things could have went in, and they were your guests, checked in to you. So why are you over here arguing with the people that checked in with you? And so QC was saying that that's not going to do anything but make people not want to check in or hang out with Jazz Jr. or MobTies or anything. Think about why Finesse 2 Times left them. Finesse 2 Times thought at first they were cool because they showed up on his first day out. But then now, after only maybe a couple weeks, a couple months at the most, he distanced from them. He's not hanging around them anymore. He's just doing what he has to do from the agreement he signed with them, saying that he was going to do this show, this bash, and that bash. And he didn't think that. He didn't know what he was getting into. And so why do you think now he don't hang out with them? The same exact reasons. They try to probably get him too. A lot of people are saying that this ain't the first time something that happened with MobTies being around having a dice game the day of or the day before. Y'all gotta remember what happened to Duke the Jeweler, man. Condolences to Duke, condolences to Takeoff, condolences to Young Dolph. Like, you guys gotta see this, that it's happening every time they do something. Every time they pop out, there's always something going on, especially when it's no show, no business being done. When they're having a party, that's when the guests are the people who gotta pay up. Somebody's gonna pay up. Somebody's gonna get ran in the dice game, or somebody's gonna get ran up on, chain snatch, something comes up missing. It's always drama. It's always something that happens at the end of a MobTies party. If you haven't known by now, well, now you know, now you see it. It happened to Duke the Jeweler, happened to Takeoff, Migos, and so many other more people that we probably didn't even pay attention to at the beginning when this was all starting. So at the end of the day, y'all gotta look at it like this comes back in full circle, because Junior and Jazz, they sitting back watching like, what do we do? We should have never had that party. And they know this, and they know they should have never had to try to run people's pockets in dice games and have people arguing for them and having Lil Cam and Big Pat hanging around their parties. All if you're not subscribed. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that like button. Comment down below. Let me know if you're a big fan of Takeoff, Migos, or if you're down in Houston. Let me know where y'all from. Let's get officially right into it, man. They just got the second and third suspects on the whole Takeoff thing. Lil Cam ended up telling a lot. I told you guys they were going to crack him under pressure. But basically what happened is that the dude that Lil Cam got a ride with coming to the whole bowling alley that the Migos were showing up to, they got the invitation a couple days before. And so what they was doing was that they was planning, they was plotting, they were going to figure out what Cadillac truck they were going to drive there. They're figuring out if they're going to take the Tahoe or the GMC truck. They called a lot of people. They kind of met in the 5th Ward and they were like, okay, it's going down tomorrow. It's the big party. We're going to need Lil Cam and we're going to need Big Pat. So they had Big Pat and Lil Cam decide that they was going to ride with each other. And so this is where they all get tied in the mix. It was Lil Cam, Big Pat, and like 2 other dudes that showed up with them, right? And once they got to the bowling alley, their whole mission was to just act cool, really just stay in the background and just watch the whole time, because they knew that they weren't gonna make their moves until the end after the dice game. So what they were supposed to do was they're supposed to instigate, wait for this person to instigate and distract with the arguments. And then what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to creep out of the shadows of the woodworks and run up on Quavo and Takeoff, and they were supposed to try to like do something, snatch a chain, whatever, right? And so what you got to understand is that